Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new episode of I Talk to Notebooks. My name is Sarah. I'll be your host on today's Journal With Me video. And today I actually wanted to get a little bit artsy and try a few new things that I had not tried before. So what I've got here are some labels. They're round labels that you can print onto. And I'm going to be putting some distress ink onto there. And this is my first time ever using distress ink. I got a few different sets. Turns out Michael's Rewards program is pretty good once you figure out how to use it, and I was able to get a pretty good discount on these inks. So I have been wanting to get into distress inks my whole life. They always seem too expensive, too unattainable. But now that I'm older, I have a little bit more money, and I had all these discount points that helped a lot. Plus, Michael's has a lot of good coupons. So see what you can stack if you're interested, and you might be able to try new things that you never thought you could. So this was a lot more challenging than I thought it would be, to be quite honest with you. There's definitely a learning curve with distress ink. I did not expect it to be this challenging, so I'm really looking forward to getting better at it. But you guys can see my first attempt and how splotchy it is. Now, I have to admit that this particular idea is not mine at all. I actually got it from an Instagram account called Smashing Rain, who I'm going to link in the description. And you guys have got to go subscribe to her. Not subscribe, you need to follow her on Instagram because she is so good. Not only is her art creative and her projects are very creative, but the way she films them and shows them and comes up with ideas is really, really creative and interesting. And her aesthetic is to die for, so you should definitely give her a follow, because without her account, I would not be making this video. The minute I saw her do this, I knew I wanted to try it. So I got the labels, I cut off some, and I decided to make some of these stickers with the distress ink. So I think the ones I'm using now are called Old Linen and Vintage Photograph. And just to create a little bit of depth. I don't know, is this how it's supposed to look? Probably not, but I was having a good time with it anyway. I've just really wanted to be getting into distress inks and also expanding my stamp collection a little bit, getting better at stamping. And as you're going to see in a little bit, I actually got into acrylic stamping, acrylic block stamping for the first time ever. I never understood that or how it worked, but I watched some YouTube videos on it, and it actually makes a lot of sense. Like, yeah, if you can see through the stamp, you can see where you're going to stamp. Which is too bad, because wooden stamps look really, really cool. And I found that moving the, well, you can see here, I started with the acrylic block stamps. I found that moving them around, cleaning them off, and putting them back was kind of a pain, but it's worth it for the really cool designs that you get. These, and I'll link what I have down below on Amazon for the most part. Well, let's just say I'll link the stamps and the stamp inks that are new, because some of you might be interested. They're pretty affordable, you know, however you may feel about that. But I really like these big acrylic block stamps that you can get that are backgrounds, like textures. I really, really just die for textures, and particularly wood texture. You guys know that I always take most of my Instagram photos on my wooden desk, and even my YouTube channel banner is currently wooden planks. So I really like the look of wood. It just makes me think of being far away from everyone and everything in a cabin somewhere. And look how nicely this came out. These awesome images. I was really impressed at how these affordable Amazon stamps really came out so well. That last one didn't come out so well, but it still looks really cool and awesome, and I was really excited about it. And you can see it's kind of coming together. What started out as kind of a clumsy attempt at distress ink is starting to turn into something nice to look at. And I clean off every acrylic stamp with a Clorox wipe. I watched a video on how to do this, a couple of them actually. If I can remember, I will link those in the iCards and below. But they mentioned cleaning off the stamps every time, which is not really my vibe, but I did it anyway. And one of the creators, whose name I'm forgetting, recommended using a baby wipe, but I didn't have a baby wipe, and I was not about to go buy baby wipes to wipe off my stamps. So I just used a Clorox wipe, which I did have. So we'll see how that works out long term. And then this is a different stamp set, also from Amazon, that's got plants on it. It wasn't the same as it looked on the website, but it's still really pretty, and I really, 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 really like these stamps so much. They're so great, totally worth it. And I went in with some ink. And again, the ink is also new because I had some really old dried out ink pads, and I wanted a few different colors. And this set was pretty affordable, so I went with it. And this was marketed as being for kids to do fingerprints with, but it works great for stamps, and the colors are really good for like my aesthetic personally, like a lot of greens and rust reds, but just enough bright colors in case you get that mood as well. So I just went to town with this dark green with some leafy plants to start with. And then I think eventually I'm going to move into, let's see, it's probably going to be red is next, would be my guess. Maybe not. Maybe it'll be orange. Who knows? Oh yeah, kind of a rusty orangish color. And look how clear the stamps really came out, and they're layering so nicely over the wood and the distressed ink. And you can't really even see that there are stickers there anymore. So this took a long time too. I was really surprised how long it took, because Smashing Rain's video made it look like it was going to take just a few minutes because she edited it so well and fast. But for me, it took me like an hour just to do this part. And so it's kind of interesting as you try new things with journaling, how it can be time consuming. Because I was realizing if now I'm going to do a lot of stamping and distress inking, that's going to add a lot of time onto my decorating phase. So I don't know, am I going to be doing it a lot? I'd like to, but realistically, I don't know. Only time will tell what actually happens. But I'd like to think so, because I think it looked really good when I was done. I'm really happy with the spreads. And yeah, just lately I haven't been in as much of a writing mood. I've been in more of a mood of like, you know, I just want to do something visual. So I just have a lot of pages decorated in advance. I'm thinking I might try to do some collage or something instead of writing, which feels like sacrilege to me, because it's like, oh, how can you put decorations on your pages but then not write anything? But it's like, what do I want to really write about? Not much. You know, I feel like I've gotten pretty much everything off my chest that I need to get off of there. And there's a little memory keeping here and there. You know, today I did this, today I did that. Dreamed this last night. See, look how cool that looks. But apart from that, I don't really feel the need to do a ton of memory keeping. You know, my days are kind of the same. I'm going to do some travel maybe this year if things go well with the vaccine. Isn't everybody going to travel though? What a mess. That will be quite a mess. But I'd like to try. Got some family I haven't seen in a while. So there should be more to journal about then if I can find the time. And then I thought, what if I put some distress ink on these ripped up book pages? That sounds cool, right? And you guys tell me how you think it turned out. I used the stained walnut or walnut stained distress ink and just went around the edges, and I felt like it didn't make that much of a difference, and that was like the darkest brown that I had. So maybe you guys who are more experienced with distress inks can tell me what your technique is. I watched a bunch of videos, but mine just weren't coming out quite like the videos. And I don't know if that's because possibly the inks came dried out, or if I just don't know what I'm doing. Because you can see it's on the paper below, it's showing up. So I don't really know. Distress ink is different than I thought it would be. I didn't realize how like blendable and buildable it was really going to be. It feels almost more like working with makeup than working with art supplies. So it's definitely a learning curve, but I had a lot of fun with it. And yeah, as I'm watching, you can kind of see the distress ink on the edges there. Yeah, personally, I'm more of a coffee dye type person when I want to get entire pages looking distressed. I don't do that in my journals, but I've done it for some junk journals and altered composition books in the past. And it works really, really well. And then your book smells like coffee, which is a 10 out of 10. But my journals get enough bulk added to them as is without needing to have coffee dyed pages, because let me tell you, that'll bulk a journal right up. That thing is going to be huge and crinkly and really difficult to write on. So I just thought I'd stick with the distress inks and see how that made the pages look. And then do some stamping over top of the pages as well. Oh, different colors. I was thinking I might put down some scrapbook paper again this time, but at the end of the day, I ended up not doing that. Not because I didn't want to, I just felt like there was so much going on that there wasn't a lot of room to add scrapbook paper. So maybe next time I'll add it. Who knows? Do you guys have any tips for collaging or glue booking? I'm really inspired by a lot of the things that I see people doing on Instagram, but I remember learning about how to do like a good collage in art class in college, and that was so hard and time consuming. It took forever, and my end product was very bizarre. I mean, we had to talk about each other's projects in class and discuss them, and people were talking about mine for like a little bit too long. It was like a bit weird. And now I have it hanging in the bathroom because it's so bizarre. I just thought I'd put it in the weirdest place I could think of. So it's right across from the toilet, and I see it every time I use the bathroom. and it's just a very strange image. But it took me so long because you have to do, if you want to do a good, like, well composed, I guess, collage that looks like a single image, you have to do all this measuring with a ruler where the vanishing point is. I never really understood that. I had a really hard time with it, so I was just trying to do the best I could, and I ended up with a very, very strange image of, it was like a living room, like an IKEA living room. It wasn't IKEA, it was a similar store though. And it was a living room, and then there's this old man in it, and he's just like looking at this space age, like a retro futuristic terminal from like a space station in like a 1980s movie, and it's just in the living room for no reason, and he's like staring over it with like a depressed look on his face. So yeah, it's a very weird image. It makes you wonder what it's about, and what it's about, I can tell you, is finding the right set of images that are going to look natural and get me an A on that project. And if it's weird, that's just a natural side benefit of it. The project was hard, but all this to say, I'd like to do that in my journal if any of you guys have like shortcuts, because I just find myself, you know, even harvesting single images to paste in can be kind of time consuming, because it's like, what do I want? And then I have to cut it out. And I have to figure out how to integrate it into the overall design of the page. And it can just be a lot of time. So like making an entire image composed of like magazine pictures is a little daunting to me, you know? So let me know if you have any tips on that. I was hoping to learn, you know, that art technique from that art class, but we didn't learn that much. It was more like just trying things and getting your sea legs, only they're like your art legs. So I did some roses. I just wanted to do, I didn't want to use every single like new stamp that I had, or every single stamp that I have. So I just kind of went in with a couple different sets. So I was trying some of the green leaves, and then I was also trying some of the rose stamps. That yellow one did not come out very well. I ended up throwing that away, but these came out really nicely. I really like the rose petals. I mean, that's just gorgeous. Can you believe that? It's just amazing that we have access to supplies like that now. I don't remember it always being that way, but maybe I wasn't in the right place at the right time. And the images are very, very clear. I'm not having a lot of trouble. I thought I was going to get a lot of like ghosting and blurriness, and you know, those little, when the edge of the stamp gets ink on the paper. I thought that was going to happen because I've never done acrylic block stamping before. But the images were coming out really clear, really nice, and I just can't complain. It just wasn't difficult. It looks better than most wooden stamps that I use, so I thought it looked good. And then those little ink colors actually stack onto each other, which I hadn't realized, so that makes them really convenient to store. And then it was time to get some washi tape and go to town with actually gluing some of this stuff in. And I just went ham. I have just, again, not been feeling like writing as much, so I didn't feel too shy about putting a lot of decorations in to take up space and just kind of express my mood with spring and everything. I think that everything you put in your journal, regardless of the order of which you put things, it says something about that time in your life and your mood. Like, even if you're just decorating with other people's stuff, like other people's stamps and washi tape and book pages, none of that I made, you know, I'm just placing things, really. But it says what I'm thinking about, where my head is, and my head is in kind of like a naturey springtime place lately. I've just really been in that headspace for the past month or so. So I feel good that even though there might not be so many words for the next few weeks, that the decorations are going to kind of memorialize where my head is at. So that's exciting. And I didn't want to decorate too many pages because I already had like 2 left that I hadn't even written in yet, but I just couldn't wait to try out the distress ink. So I just thought I'd add like maybe 3 more spreads real quick. Lots of Tim Holtz washi tape there. Have you guys noticed that Michaels isn't carrying as much Tim Holtz as they used to? I really feel like they don't even have the tape anymore. Or they have the inks, but that's about it. Like, they're really carrying less and less of his stuff, which is too bad. I love Tim Holtz. So that's a bummer. You can get it on scrapbook.com, but I've been a little hesitant to use scrapbook.com because they charge for shipping. Even though they have a great selection, it's like, I'm too spoiled from either being able to just go buy something at a craft store and not have to pay for anything extra, or to just be able to have it shipped from Amazon directly to me without any extra charge with that good old Prime membership. So yeah, the idea of paying for shipping is just weird to me, even though it's a psychological thing. You know, Amazon builds the shipping costs into the products, but for some reason it's just tough to pay for shipping. I had like half my journal's not even visible at this point. That's too bad. It's okay, you'll see it. Some of these washi tapes are also from Walmart, like the shiny polka dot one. That's a Walmart washi tape. If you have a Walmart near you, I'd highly recommend going and checking out their washi tape. It's in the stationery section, like right where they sell the notebooks. There's like no distinction. They have notebooks on one shelf, and then right next to it, they'll just be like what looks like a notebook box, like the cardboard boxes they put their notebooks in, but it just has tape in it. So definitely pick some of that up. It's super affordable, and it's very, very cute. And they give you a decent amount, and some of them even come in their own dispensers. So that's worth it, in my opinion. Yeah. Washi tape can be so expensive. So if you can find a good one that's affordable, and I really think the designs are cute and things that most people would probably like, for whatever that's worth. I'm just using some like flower nature stickers and stuff. And then I just wanted to do one more spread because I had this really perfect vision of something else I wanted to add to one of the spreads, but I had not really left a lot of room for it in the other spreads. So this one here is mostly covered with decorations. I mean, it's just kind of like, I don't know, it's just kind of one of those pages that's more atmospheric than anything else. It's not really an art statement. It's just like a nice page to look at aesthetically, but it doesn't really have a focal point or a message. It just is easy on the eyes. Anybody else been noticing, like with the humidity changing or the weather changing, like a lot of weird headaches? I've got like the strangest headache behind my right eye that's like, it feels like it's in my sinus a lot. Like I can feel the pressure on my nose. You can probably hear it in my voice. It's like, good grief. I love the springtime, but if it could just like happen and then my head could adjust, that'd be great. Because nobody likes head pressure. Those circular stickers really came out well. I would definitely recommend giving that technique a try if it's something you're interested in, because I just don't know how you can mess it up. It just seemed like, even though it was my first time and I had a lot of issues with the distress ink and some of the stamping, it just looks really great. I'm really happy with it. So I'm definitely going to try that again. Probably in my next video, actually. I have a lot of other ideas I want to try for those types of stickers. So definitely be on the lookout for that if you're into that at all. But what I wanted to do up there in that corner where I put the distress ink, I wanted to make like, I had this vision of like a brick wall with lamps and lights in front of it. I don't know why I had that in my head. So I tried to use the ink pad that I was showing before, the crafter's one that was for kids supposedly. And it didn't work out too well the first time. So I was like, that must have been a fluke. I'll just press harder and do it again. And it still looked like trash. So what do you think I did? Of course, I gave it another go and tried it again. And guess what? It looked terrible, so gross. So then I was like, it might be the ink pad. Maybe it's not meant for a stamp this big or something. So I went in with my Memento, I think it's called, the one that everybody uses, the brown one. And I did that one, and then that worked beautifully. Look at how great that looks. That looks awesome. And the red is still in the background, so I think that overall, the entire thing that seemed like it was going badly actually worked out as well as it possibly could. I really like the way that that turned out. So then those children's ink pads that I had, they had a silver and a gold one, and I was like, these are probably not going to be that great. Like, they're for kids. Like, I'm just going to try and see, but I'm probably going to have to figure out something else to do because I don't think it's going to really show up on a dark background like that, and it's going to look kind of stupid. But I just want to see, you know, how it looks. So I got out the gold and the silver one, and then these like retro lighting / lamp stamps, wooden stamps, and I wanted to try that. So I tried this one with gold, And believe it or not, and I'm going to show you at some point, it actually really worked. It looks, I mean, it's not crystal clear, but it looks really good. It's pretty much how I envisioned it to look, actually. I have a few ideas about other ways I can make it work, like with sticky notes or something. Yeah, so maybe decorative sticky notes would be a good way to go with that. Who knows? Or craft paper would be probably better.